So at this point, we give the follicle a new name. So now this is a fully mature secondary follicle. It is called Graafian follicle. So now, second meiotic division starts immediately after secondary oocyte is formed. This is happening around the middle of the cycle, 14 days before the next menstrual cycle. Graafian follicle is fully ready for ovulation. A surge of a hormone called luteinizing hormone occurs to stimulate ovulation. So remember, we had a follicle stimulating hormone, FSH, to begin the cycle, to stimulate the follicle to grow. Now we have something called luteinizing hormone that stimulates ovulation. Okay? Concentration of luteinizing hormone in your blood circulation goes up. But just 3 hours before ovulation, second meiotic division arrests at metaphase 2. Now this ovum, along with some surrounding Cumulus Oophorous cells, ovulate out of the ovary, and they're taken up by the fallopian tube. Ovulation is your ovary giving out your ovum, your egg. When it comes out of your ovary, it's intercepted by your fallopian tube. Your fallopian tubes are connected to your uterus. All right, so back in the ovary remains what's left over from the follicle. Some Granulosa cells and Theca cells, which convert into a yellow-colored mass called Corpus Luteum. Corpus Luteum will produce lots of a hormone called Progesterone during the second half of your monthly cycle. We'll discuss the hormones in another lecture. The Cumulus Oophorous cells begin to rearrange themselves around the ovum in a manner that gives the shape of a crown. So now these Cumulus Oophorous cells, they start looking like this. Okay, so it looks like a crown. This arrangement of the Cumulus Oophorous cells is called Corona Radiata. Radiating crown, I guess.
Yeah.
Corona Radiata. The ovum is still arrested at metaphase 2 of the second meiotic division. It will wait in the fallopian tube from 24 to 48 hours for sperm to arrive. So that's the window. If sperm doesn't arrive, it will just die out and degenerate, and any organic material will be absorbed by the fallopian tube epithelium. If sperm does arrive, and as soon as the sperm touches the cell membrane of the secondary ovum, suddenly the secondary ovum is reactivated. It was arrested in metaphase 2. It wasn't going to divide further, second meiotic division, until and if sperm touches the membrane of the ovum. It is now reactivated, and very rapidly it will complete its second meiotic division and produce one more polar body and becomes definitive fertilized ovum. The first polar body also may divide and become two polar bodies. So you end up with the one definitive fertilized ovum and 3 polar bodies, which degenerate. The definitive fertilized ovum will have 23 chromosomes. Remember, we went from, now you're going in, during the second meiotic division, you had 23 chromosomes, but they were double-stranded, arrested. Now, once the egg is fertilized and it goes through that rapid secondary meiotic division or second meiotic division, you still have 23 chromosomes, but they're now single-stranded, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the definitive fertilized ovum will have 23 chromosomes, but they are now single-structured. So the designation for the small n, or the number of chromosomes, is how many? 1 or 2?
Small N or big N?
The small n, number of chromosomes. 1n, right? And now the big N, which is the amount of DNA, what is it now? What was it before when it was double structured 23 chromosomes?
2.
It was 2n. So now we have single structured chromosomes. So how many capital N would it be?
1.
1 capital N as well. So that's the amount of DNA. And is it diploid or haploid? Haploid. Very good. Okay, so now the 23 chromosomes from the female form what is called a pronucleus. And the sperm brings the other 23 chromosomes from the dad. Those 23 chromosomes from the dad enter the ovum and form the male pronucleus. So the genetic material that is carried by the sperm is released into the ovum. So the ovum had its own 23 chromosomes, and it formed the female pronucleus, and then the sperm brought the 23 chromosomes from the male, and that formed the male pronucleus. All of this is inside this one egg or one ovum. So both pronuclei will fuse together and become one nucleus. And when they become one nucleus, now how many chromosomes do we have inside of the new nucleus?
46.
46. So the 23 from dad and the 23 from mom now are combined. Okay. And once this happens, how many small n's? That's the number of chromosomes. It was 1n. Now it's 2n because you brought the ones from the father. So it's 2n. And then for the capital N, which is the amount of DNA, it was 1n. Now it is 2n. Is it haploid or diploid? Diploid. And now this is called a zygote. And the egg has been fertilized.